All right, my painting students, there are just a few things that I wanted to go over that I didn't go over with you, but are quite important, such as how to clean your brush, or how to apply, or how to thin down paint or thicken up paint. So I just wanted to go over that very quickly. First of all, cleaning your brush. So we are using water soluble oil paint. Some of you are using regular traditional oil paints, which is fine as long as you create a safe environment and you are trained before. But like I've said this before, but if you have, I mean, you're perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to use paper towels like this to wipe your brushes after you get paint on them, but it's also perfectly fine to use like old t-shirts and rags. Old towels are good. You know, you can go to Walmart and buy one of those like kitchen towels, like a 3-pack for like $1. That's always really good. But this is like an old t-shirt, okay? So this is palette paper pads, so they're disposable paper palettes and they're really useful. I've been just using like plastic wrap and aluminum foil, but these, it's just like kind of like wax paper, and you can just rip and tear it apart. They do sell like bigger ones so that you know you have more space to work on. And oil paints, they, as you know, they don't dry like right away like acrylic, so you can just leave them, and then if you have some paint left, like you can put saran wrap on top, and then it will help keep the paints wet longer. Okay, but let's say, just for example, you have your, you put your paint down and you make a big mess or anything like that, and you're done with your fabulous painting for the day. You take your rag, and when you're cleaning your paintbrushes, I would recommend that whatever it is, a paper towel, old phone book, newspaper, something that is not, you can dispose of and is not that important to you, just wipe as much paint off of the brush as possible for each one. Okay, so I only have one brush, but let's say you have like 10 brushes, then really take the time to get as much paint and pigment off your brush as possible, because it will make your cleaning process a lot easier. Okay, after that, whatever it is, if you have paint thinner, terpenoid, water soluble, water for water soluble paints, clean your brush and try to get as much pigment and paint off from your brush as much as possible, like this. Okay, and then if you see that like you're wiping your brush against the water and there's not much pigment coming up, then wipe your brush once again with your paper towel or your rag. Okay, and then what, so it depends on each person. For me, when I'm painting, since I use my paintbrushes mostly every day at the studio, not these, this will be it. Like, I'll be done. Just like, I use regular traditional oil paints, so I just, you know, wipe them off in my terpenoid and then wipe it on a rag and then just set them like this to dry. But that's pretty much it. But if you're not going to be painting for a few days, and depending on the dryness and humidity of your environment, your studio environment, it may be best, if you want your brushes to last longer, to actually wash them with soap and water. Okay, since they are still oils, the best soap I think is Dawn dish soap, or any kind of dish soap. You don't have to buy the fancy oil soaps or bars. Those are helpful, but like Dove hard Dove soap, like a bar of soap is fine. Grab it and then just gently rub it. So rub it on the soap, or if you have Dawn soap, squeeze a little out on your palm and then rub your brush around on your palm, and you'll start seeing a lot of pigment and paint come out, okay? And so after that, after you roll it in your palm, okay, rinse it under warm water. So not cold water, because the cold water will only kind of make it harder for the oil to come out. So warm water will soften the oil and kind of heat it up a little bit. And that way it will come off your brush fibers and hairs a little bit better. But after you do that and you still see that there's a lot of pigment like sticking onto your skin, or you still see a little bit of pigment on your brush, put a little bit more soap on your palm, or if it's hard bar soap, just rub it in a little bit more and then rub it in. And then keep doing that until all the pigment is gone, and just let it air dry, okay? You can wipe it off your rag again and then just let it air dry, okay? Another thing about paints that I forgot to tell you is thinning down your paints, okay? So oil paint, right? 3 components to paint. But for a paint itself, it's going to be pigment, which is like the powder that gives color, and then the binder, which is whatever holds the pigments together, right? So if you look at the ingredients for the paint, it doesn't say here, maybe because this is water mixable oil color, but usually, oh, here it is. Well, this one's different because this one's water soluble, so it has like this chemical or vehicle that helps this oil paint mix with water. But if you look at traditional oil paints, the 2 ingredients are basically the pigment and then the binder, which is linseed oil. And so obviously probably you've noticed that it's very gloopy, right? It's kind of like mud, as one of you said. Very thick. Also depends, and some of that, you know, if you played around with it, like the colors before, then some colors are a bit more opaque, some are more transparent, some are in the middle, etc. Some are very strong and bright and vibrant, some are more dulled down. But overall, they're going to be quite thick and gloopy. Oops. And so, you want to thin down your paint a little bit. Obviously, you can use it just like this, but you might get a little frustrated. So when you dip your paint a little bit, or if you have like a eye drop, you can use that as well. But water or oil thinner will thin down your paint, okay? And when you mix your paint with water, mix it a little bit at a time like this. And whatever little batch of paint that you're going to use, and you need to thin down, make sure the whole, you thin it down so that the whole mixture or little batch is consistent. Okay, you don't want like parts of this mixture to be very watery and parts of it to be very thick, okay? So this is kind of like this consistency. You can water it down even more, right? Like this. So it's like very watery, it just runs down. I want to show you a few things that you can do, but I'm going to break this video down into 2 because I don't want this video to be too long.